Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Cryptid, and Project Highrise. This is Staying In. Right, everybody. I feel like we've got to get our timelines in order. We are Marvel Studios. We have messed up, so we need to make it official what the timeline actually is, so people understand.
Course correction.
A course correction. Because we're recording this early because we don't want to do this over Christmas.
No,
And...
I want to drink port.
Okay.
I want to eat cheese.
All right.
I want to sit down.
Because famously, you're a go-getter.
He's actually stood up as we speak.
So famously,
exactly,
Pete records his podcast whilst hanging upside down.
Yeah.
We just don't know because he auto-corrects his feed, so...
And he hangs his pictures at the bottom of his wall.
It's like the twits. So by the time you hear this, it will be the start of a brand new year. So Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year
to you.
Lord Lang Syne.
We all hope that you had a wonderful Christmas.
We're glad you're here.
By the time you hear this, I would have had my first curry on Christmas Day ever. We're having a curry Christmas this year.
Interesting.
Will it be a turkey curry?
Well, I don't eat meat, so
Unlikely then.
So I'm guessing no. So I'm guessing that's a hard no.
Thai or Indian, Sam?
it'll be an Indian. It'll be a mixture of Indian curries. You've had the Mart's.
Oh, it's incredible.
Curry mixture.
Oh my
evening.
gosh, what a dal.
It's going to be that. It's going to be that pretty much Christmas, which is going to be lovely.
Is this a tradition, or is this a new thing, or is this just something...
It's a new thing. So it's a new thing that we're trying, because we don't... So Lisa's family don't eat meat. Me and Lisa have both recently given up meat.
Mm-hmm.
So why cook, an average nut roast?
Which I can attest are not very nice.
Yeah, they're all right, but... So we're going to have lovely, tasty curries instead.
Fantastic.
And everyone in the family has their curry. So Lisa's mum has a curry that she makes. Lisa's dad has a curry that he makes. And Lisa makes a curry as well.
What do you make, Sam?
Nothing at the moment.
Makes a lovely cucumber yogurt dip.
I could do, actually. And famously, Lisa's brother pops the poppadoms. He's even got an apron that calls him the Poppadom King. So that's...
Surely it would be the Poppadon.
Do you feel you're gate crashing this tradition? It sounds like it's really well established already.
Anyway, so also the other thing that would have happened by the time you hear this is that Kris and I will be joining Dan at his home for having completed the 2018 Round the Houses Challenge. At the time of the recording, we haven't done it yet.
No, 13 kilometres left for me, Sam.
I've got 50. So we'll get there. We'll get there.
Slow and steady wins the race.
We'll get there, and we'll join Dan for a meal.
And Pete, I've still got high hopes for you.
Well, I mean, I'm already there.
What?
Dan.
What?
I'm already there.
He's outside your house now, Dan.
I'm outside. I'm literally
this
outside.
Immediately sounds sinister.
What do you mean?
Well, I've been tallying up all my time since I started in April, and I'm up to 829 kilometres, which is enough, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's over the amount. So
Yeah. You've shot past Dan's house.
you've pretty much gone past being...
He's going round again.
This is
Actually-
incredible. This is brilliant.
It's a Christmas miracle, Sam.
God bless us, everyone.
This really has become like wacky races, isn't
I
it?
know, yeah.
Penelope Pitstop has just overtaken us.
We've all been sweating and working hard, and in the dead of night, in the meantime, there's been Pete.
In fact, that bike is the dynamo for the electricity in his entire flat. Pete, how do you feel having done that? Like, do you feel like a change has occurred within you? Did you enjoy it? That's probably a better question to ask.
Well, it was all right. Like, I kind of felt a little bit.
Was it the equivalent of 60 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda?
I actually played some of Andromeda while I was doing it.
So this was indoor cycling.
Yes, this is indoor cycling. Basically.
That'd be very, very dangerous. Otherwise.
So but the thing is, I think the thing I experienced the most of was like
cramp.
was like
Got a few punctures.
Well, I tell you what though, like, so when you do like, it's difficult doing 10k in a day. Like it is like, but I've realised I can do it in about. So I've set the bike up in the back. This one here,
about 5 years ago.
I set that one up to do. It's like on. I didn't really know what would be fair in terms of like, because I'm on a bike, right? It'd be like I kind of felt like it'd be like getting a car and doing it. So instead, what I did was I just cranked it up to like the highest level of resistance, and was just like, "Oh, sod it, I'll just put it on that." Yeah, so I was kind of unsure as to whether or not that counted, but I just thought, "Oh, sod it."
Yeah, I think so, because when I went on a bike for a bit of it, I upped and down the resistance because that's what normal cycling would be.
That's what I thought. I thought some of it's going to be uphill, some of it's going to be downhill.
Yeah.
So I'll even it out. But yeah, so it was all right. It was okay. I'm glad. I tell you what, I'm glad I did it because, like, I think I would have been very poorly after a bit going up the mountain.
How difficult was it to bite your tongue every time certain members of the podcast ridiculed you for sitting on your ass and not doing anything?
Oh, it was fine. It was absolutely fine. Didn't feel
ostracised
or blood red mad at any moment. No, so but it was good. The other cool thing about it was it definitely gave. I've realised what I definitely need with exercise is structure. Structure is really the thing that keeps me going, because there was always this thing of, if you don't keep up, you won't be able to have that moment at the end of the year where you go, I did it. Yeah. So having that sort of structure was really, really important for me. I think you definitely motivated me to do this.
I'm impressed how your bike still has clothing draped over it. Did you take that off when you were cycling?
Yeah. It has been used as both an exercise bike and a clothes horse. But yeah, it's also got yellow on it now. It was all white, and now there's like a stain of yellow at the front. I don't know what that is. I think it might mean bits of me.
I didn't need to hear that.
Also, fun fact, and I don't mind sharing.
Fun.
Fun. I didn't really. I sort of thought to myself, I can't really be asked to get like changed into like training gear while I do this.
God,
no.
So instead, what I did was basically every night while I was doing 5 to 10k or whatever it was.
Oh please!
I'd just strip off completely naked.
Oh.
and honestly, cycling around nude. Obviously, it's. So there was this really beautiful occasion.
I sat on that when we went to stay over.
Oh
God.
Disgusting.
Oh.
That's the reason people wear training gear.
Yeah, if you try and flog that on eBay, no one will buy it.
There was this moment in my living room and it was a very bizarre moment. I was there cycling, butt naked, watching Star Trek Enterprise, and Taco was sat at my feet, looking directly up at me as if to say, and you're at the top of the evolutionary chain here.
This is like a Twin Peaks dream sequence.
Yeah. When am I getting fed?
I assumed that you just left the bike in kind of the spare room where you are now. I didn't realise you'd take it, carry it through, strip
That's
off.
how aggressive a cyclist he is, Dan. He actually managed to get out of the spare bedroom into the living room. There's no wheels on it.
Yeah. Oh.
Well, that has ruined my eyes.
Somewhat taken the sheen off of my achievement.
And the bike.
And the bike. Do you want to know what else I've been doing rather than cycling naked?
I don't know if I do anymore.
I know you recently bought a Switch, so I'm excited to hear about all the Switch goodness.
Yeah. Been
Switch.
playing.
Yeah.
Switch. Switch.
Yeah.
There we are. So I've been playing not on my Switch.
Oh.
I have been playing on my mobile telephone.
What a worthwhile purchase.
Yeah, I know. I purchased it and I was like, do you know what? I can't be bothered.
If only I had a portable console to play. Oh well.
Yeah. So instead, I've been playing on my mobile. I've been playing Project Highrise, and it's like, have you guys played Sim Tower?
No, but I am aware of it.
You're aware of it.
Yeah.
Okay. So you seem very dour. What did
It's a bit like the KKK. I've never been in it, but I'm aware of it.
A bit.
Put that on the back of the box. So it is basically.
So it's not Sim Tower.
So
but...
it's basically Sim Tower.
Okay. But what's a Sim Tower?
So Sim Tower is imagine Sim City crossed with Fallout Shelter.
Okay.
So this is a premium game. So it's not wait timers or anything like that. Basically, you build a tower, and so you have to build all the floors and all the foyers and put art in the halls.
And so I take it you've got like in Fallout Shelter, you've got like a cross section of that tower that you're looking at.
Yep, that's right.
Okay,
so
cool.
So you get that, and then you decide, okay, I'm going to put in residential flats. And what kind of residential flats? Is it like a one-bed bedsit for some scumlord? Or is it like me? Or is it like a very big deluxe apartment for a family? And depending on which one you choose for those, they have different needs. So some of them want a restaurant in the building or daycare services and stuff like that. But then there's also offices, so you can make it a tower block full of offices as well.
Is it like a premium version of Tiny Tower?
Yeah, so Tiny Tower actually was the freemium version of Sim Tower.
Okay.
So they took that idea and turned it into that. And it is... so I've been playing it on mobile. It is also on PC. And I've actually sort of been playing it at work there as well on my PC. The differences are...
So let's just get this right. So this isn't Sim Tower. This isn't Tiny Tower.
No.
This is Project
Highrise.
Highrise. So what's the difference between everything else that we've mentioned to Project Highrise?
So Project Highrise tries to be the spiritual successor to Sim Tower. So it's very much trying to be like the next version of Sim Tower. So with Tiny Tower, it was like, let's try and make a free-to-play mobile version of that, strip it right down, and get to the very, very, very heart of what that's meant to be. Whereas Project Highrise is meant to be like, yo, you remember that game? Well, that they haven't made a version of in 20 years? Well, we've done that. As you might see with something like 2 Point Hospital to Theme Hospital. And it's lovely. And it's really dorky and like the minutiae of it I quite like. So like you have like little you have to pump energy into it. You have to lay out the energy wiring and the telephone wiring and pump gas into the place and like cable and water and figure out all of that sort of stuff and make sure that everyone has all of their resources. You have to like your tower gets prestige over time, and people see it as like a really fundamental part of the community, and because of that you become like a pillar of the community, which allows you to like go to the local council and say, can I extend the height of this building even further than I normally would be able to? And they go, yeah, that's fine. That's
that actual kind of verbatim transcript of the conversation?
That's it. That's fine. Yeah.
So what makes Willington Tower distinctive? What's the angle you've taken?
Well, mostly
the power is generated by a bank of naked cyclists.
Yeah. It's an image.
Yeah.
What a lovely mural they have across the wall.
Put that.
Is it like your tower in Minecraft, Pete, which was just basically a solid block of sand?
I mean, there's no artistry to any of it. I definitely find that. So you can get really nice, intricate, lovely looking buildings, and that is like the thing that you might go towards. And when you look at like screenshots of people who have played it for ages and ages and ages, it's been out for a while. They do really lovely, intricate things. But mine is very like 70s, 80s communist block, like
brutalist.
Built it, yeah, brutalist. Like build it high, put in stuff, make it functional. Like everyone has the same. Like so, to the point of like you can add like artworks into the building, and that gives it more of this prestige, and it opens up
hammer and a sickle.
It opens up more like options for you to build out. So the more prestige you have, the more deluxe offices you can build. And like you do that, you build this prestige by putting in art. And with this basically what I've done is I've put the exact same statue on every floor in exactly the same space for like maximum prestige efficiency. Yeah, it is really like you really find, again, it's like Civ. It's like Civ in that you find out a little bit about who you are when you start building it. And I am definitely the like. What do you mean? What do you mean you want some sort of nice fancy artistry? No, absolutely not. Get as many people in as you can and squeeze them for as much money as possible. It's great. It's really good. Like, and I've really, really been enjoying it. And like, yeah, it's just the reason I've been playing it is because, you know, I was saying last time that like I really feel like I've been stressed out about like trying to get through my pile of shame. And these kinds of games, I don't know if you have any of them yourselves actually, like. But there are kinds of games, and this is one of them, whereby they lull you into this sense of like a quite a tranquil state. There's not huge amounts of danger. They're not twitchy. They're not super dramatic or exciting in that way. They're just like, you know, like a Sim City, like a City Skylines, for example.
I have that, but with TV shows.
Okay, like what, Sam?
So at the moment, I'm currently rewatching. Going through all 9 seasons of The American Office after I found out that it's on Amazon Prime.
Right.
And for me, that I have the same feeling that I do for that as things like I will always find myself rewatching things like I'm Alan Partridge and Know Me, Know You and The Thick of It and that Fry and Laurie what's it called? Just
a little bit of Fry and Laurie.
A little bit of Fry and Laurie. Like, I find a comfort in watching things that I'm very familiar with, but I know I also enjoy.
Yeah.
And so I just put on the episodes of The Office and I just let them run, and most of the time I'm like doing other things like playing Dark Souls on my Switch or doing like online shopping or sorting out things in the house. And for me it has that same effect that Project Highrise does for you. I guess it's kind of like it's a sort of a visual stimulus to help you get into some sort of mind state. It's quite comforting, like because I know where I am with it. There's nothing shocking, there's nothing taxing from what's going to be happening in the series, but it's there and I watch it and
there's just enough there to keep you engaged.
Yeah, I'm actually, funny enough, Sam, I'm actually in the exact same position. I'm rewatching not The American Office, but I'm rewatching Scrubs. I saw something the other day, and they did like a reunion like talk. I watched that, and it got me kind of thought, I'll watch a bit of that again. Kind of because I've already seen all the series, so it's quite nice to go back and watch them, knowing where it's all going to go. But having not seen it for a long time, you kind of forget certain things. So there are certain surprises, but it's exactly the same thing. That I mean, I just download a load of them to my phone. I'll watch them on my commute. I watch them before I go to bed. If I'm just sitting there, if I'm doing the washing up, I'll put it on my phone and stuff like that. So it's exactly the same thing as you're saying. It's that thing of just kind of tuning your brain to something, which I'm in a safe place there. I know I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and it's like it's not super passive. It's not like a screensaver.
No.
Do you know what I mean? It's not completely devoid of engagement. It's just enough engagement enough times.
I can look away and it's not a problem.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly it. And I really find that with this game, with the game, because it's like, because you get into this nice core loop of what the game actually is, you can just fritter away hours and hours and hours on this thing of just very pleasant management game. And just really lovely.
Can I talk about the birthday present you all very kindly bought for me?
What was that? Which one?
This was a board game.
Oh yeah, not the great picture.
Oh, the great picture's amazing. That's actually in my living room now above our
you put it
sofa.
up?
Yeah, of course I put it
How
up.
was the process?
Just something that had to be done. Hammering nails into the wall, hanging it up. This was a film poster, very quickly. It was basically a map where it was genius, where all those films that are of geographical locations, like Gosford Park, what were the other ones?
Jurassic Park.
Not just all parks.
Airport.
Sunset Boulevard.
Other park-related films are available.
Basically, somebody's put these on a map, and it's absolutely brilliant. So there'll be like one is like Jump Street, and it's like 21 and 22, It's lovely little things like that. And it's what I love about that as a picture is every time you look at it, you see something new. But you got me a second gift as well. It's a proper bundle, and it is a board game by Osprey Games, and it's called Cryptid. Where, picture this, a modular board that is split into different geographical terrains: desert, swamp, oceans, forests, mountains, and it's a hex board, and on that board is where a cryptid is located. It's
a bit like Catan.
It's a bit like Catan in terms of its arrangement.
Yeah. Okay.
And each of us has got one clue, which tells us where the cryptid is. We only know our one clue. If we knew everyone's clue, we'd be able to pinpoint the exact single hex on that board where it is.
Right.
Based on watching what other people do with that board, either showing that they know where the cryptid is based on where their clue is suggesting it could be, or where it isn't based on where they've put cubes, we can try and roughly work out where this cryptid is. So every time somebody plays, you're watching not just to see where you think it is based on your clue, but trying to work out everyone else's clue around the table, and through the process of elimination, being the first to determine where this mythical creature, this cryptid, is. So basically, on your go, you have two choices. You either question somebody, where I pick somebody around the room and ask them, could this be here? Could the cryptid be here? The second thing I can do is I just do a thing called a search, where I pick somewhere which fits in with my clue, and I go around the table and see what people's responses are. If everyone puts a disc down, that means that this is where the cryptid is, and I've won. If just one person puts a cube down, it stops, and that's the game. It's been designed by Hal Duncan and Ruth Viviers. It's illustrated by Quanche Moria. It's just a really simple but really layered game of deduction. You and I, Sam, have played the beginner's version with Lisa. Yeah. It's a 2 to, I think, 5-player game.
I wouldn't say 2-player at all.
No,
I'd say 3 to 5.
It was basically supposed to be 3 players, but due to popular demand online, Osprey actually quite quickly, I think, published a 2-player variant, which really isn't really that fun, because it basically amounts to a 4-player game where you play for 2 colours. So the clues might be, say, for example, that it is in either a desert or a swamp, or it is within 2 spaces of a blue structure. The advanced version of the game, which is brilliant, my partner and I played it with our neighbour the other night, and that basically it just does a simple thing of turning it on its head, where the clue is, it is not here. It is not within 3 spaces of here. And just that simple editorial tweak just burns your brain just a little bit to add that little bit of complexity where you start to second-guess yourself. I played it with our neighbour. We were 2 goes in. He said, this is a genius game. I'm going to buy this. And he ordered it straight away. The next day afterwards, my partner was like, I just want to play Cryptid. And, it's just the 2 of us. And again, the 2-player game doesn't really work that well. So it kind of gets its teeth into you, literally.
I think there's one thing that Cryptid does really well is it taps into that inherent joy of deduction. And secretly, without anyone else knowing it, it's being able to join the dots together and getting to a solution before everyone else. It's a similar feeling to what you've played at Holmes, Watson and Holmes.
Yes.
And that feeling of secretly, without anyone noticing or letting on to anyone, being able to deduce something or find something out. There's always that burning inattention of, well, shall I go now? Oh, they've gone to visit that place. Like, they're going to get it soon enough. I've got to go. Like, Watson Holmes does that, but Cryptid does it so much faster and more efficiently that it has that power to keep that cycle going. Because Watson Holmes, you play it and a game will last about 1 to 2 hours because there's so much information to take on, there's so much deduction and reasoning to do. Whereas Cryptid, you just got to figure out what the rules are. And games will last about 20, 40 minutes. So just when you think you're on the cusp of something, a new game starts. And because it keeps that cycle going so quickly and it sort of regenerates itself and keeps you and doesn't let you get burnt out on the process of deduction, it's a very, very smart game. It's like Whitehall Mystery. Like, that's a fantastic game, but when you finished one, you don't want to immediately play it again because you get so burnt out on that. on that feeling like you're being chased or trying to chase something and trying to deduce where someone is based on where they can't be, which is essentially what Cryptid is, but it manages to do it all in such an efficient and logical way, which makes it a much more enhanced experience. And that's also one of the criticisms of it that I have, is that it is so logical and it is so stripped back, and it doesn't have much of a theme, that it's not the nicest thing to look at. It's, other than the art that's on the box and the name Cryptid, it's really just an abstract game.
But as Sam was saying, like, I thought the pleasure would be going, I know where the Cryptid is, but actually it's not just that. If you lose the game, you take great pleasure in knowing, well, at least I worked out what your clue was. I knew it was that clue. And the first thing that happens when somebody gets the Cryptid is not, oh, how did you know it was there? It's like, what was your clue? What was your clue? What was your clue? Just trying to work out if you got it right at the very least. And that is just infectious. It really is. I think we played it like 3 times in a row. It's just great fun. Osprey have knocked it out of the park again, in my opinion. Absolutely fantastic. I'm starting to collect all their back catalogue at the moment. Between us, we're kind of rinsing Osprey. They're fantastic.
Nearly there, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. So thank you again. That was a wonderful and very thoughtful birthday gift.
Well,
thank you very much.
Well, you didn't stop banging on about it.
No, so good.
So this is Secret Santa. We do this every year. We try and do a good thing by sending each other gifts that we really, really want, but then we ruin it. So
every year.
Is it worth mentioning what we each requested?
Yes. So for my Secret Santa, I asked to receive something that would teach me something new, not juggling specifically.
Not juggling specifically. Mine was for just to have a graphic novel. What was yours, Dan?
Mine was an autobiography.
Oh,
brilliant. Peter?
Yeah, mine was complicated. Mine was an RPG tabletop role-playing game that is...
It's 10 years old.
That is at least 10 years old and I never played it before.
Well, should we go with you first? I feel like this is what we're leading up to.
Yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
And, you completed the challenge and...
Oh, that's true. All right, I'm opening it up. Came in a lovely pad envelope. Thank you, Secret Santa, for taking so much care.
While you're unwrapping this, can I unveil the leaf, the sheath? So after we designated Secret Santas to each other, it wasn't very quickly after that someone set up the WhatsApp group called "'Cause Pete is a Bum."
2 years running strong.
It's a tradition every year.
And this was a WhatsApp group specifically set up. So if whoever got Pete needed help trying to find a 10-year-old role-playing game that he had not played, they could outsource and crowdsource some help.
That's a good idea.
The person, it was never used. It was never used. So because Pete is a bum chat was never used, so
I got added to this chat on my birthday.
So I'm expecting great things.
Okay, well, I'll keep unwrapping. Hold on. Here we are. We're almost there.
Shall we fact check as well? So if you give us a name, we'll find out when it was.
So this is. Oh, hold on. So this is. Oh my word. Oh wow! This is Savage Worlds Deluxe. The Explorers Edition. Holy cow! This is awesome. I've been looking at this for ages.
Originally published in 2004.
Oh, good work. Oh, wow. This looks amazing. Yeah, so this is... so Savage Worlds is a... It's basically a... My understanding of it is it's a way to have lots of different kinds of themes and sources in one system. So whereas Dungeons and Dragons is very much like, yo, you are going to be going into dungeons and fighting dragons. You are not going to go onto a spaceship and fight aliens. Although in one of them, by Gary Gygax, you actually did. But Savage Worlds is much more about very open and free kind of stuff. And wow. My word. Oh wow, absolutely above and beyond. This is fantastic.
You say above and beyond, or exactly to the brief. I mean,
but exactly to the brief is fantastic because honestly, this is incredibly difficult to. I'm genuinely super impressed. This is lovely. Well, what I will do, and I know that whoever Secret Santa is, will be pleased with this. What I'll do is I'll run one for you at some point.
Well, that'll be a thrill.
That'll be a thrill, wouldn't it?
Who goes next?
I choose Kris.
Oh, brilliant. Let's dive in. So I asked for a graphic novel. So I haven't read one in absolutely ages.
Yeah, and you didn't actually specify it's not one you read before, so
yeah,
be careful.
True.
Spider-Man it is.
Ooh. I've got Scott McCloud, Understanding the Invisible Art of Comics. Or the Understanding the Invisible Art of Comics. Understanding Comics. I'm trying to read this.
Do you want to try that again?
Yeah,
Right,
this is
Chris.
Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud.
Did you just bundle up all of the words in the title and...
Second, hang on. It's already bookmarked.
I found a bookmark in it for the person who read it from the Victorian Albert Museum.
So whoever owned this last
didn't get past page 51. So this is actually from looks at it, this is a meta graphic novel. It's about the art of constructing comics and graphic novels.
Yes.
So this is the guy who wrote The Sculptor, Scott McCloud, isn't it?
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I've got that somewhere.
Oh, thank you very much. This is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you, Santa. I'll let you know what happens after page 51. It's wonderful.
I'm just thinking, did Santa get this second-hand off Amazon? Or is it theirs?
It's an immaculate condition. Because you remember once I got a graphic novel, Sam, that was second-hand. It smelt of cigarettes. Do you remember?
I do.
Batman Digital Justice.
Didn't have that satisfying crack.
No. This does.
Who's next, Chris?
I'm going to pick Samuel.
Hello. Okay. So, mine, yes. Sent, delivered, wrapped by Amazon.
Oh, it's got a little label attached to it.
I know it's got the label on it. Father Christmas has typed out.
Put a barcode on it as well.
Enjoy your gift from Father Christmas.
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas.
Father Christmas's colon.
It also came with a weird envelope which says, "Keep your gift a surprise. Unwrap your present before opening this envelope." So this is either a fun gift receipt,
Probably a bookmark.
So I'll open that. So I asked, we all remember, that I wanted to learn something new. So the worrying thing is this is a very thin. This is a very thin volume. So hopefully, whatever I'm learning is
Clearly, you don't need to know much.
No. Okay, so I'm opening the bow.
But mine's got loads of pictures in it, Sam. That's probably why. Yours might not have pictures in it.
Just a wall of text. Right, okay. Oh, it's wrapped inside the wrapping, which I do like.
Value for money.
I'll keep that. Coming to a birthday near you, Dan, probably, because it's your birthday now. So I will be learning.
Here we go.
Oh, teach yourself to meditate. An excellent book, according to the Daily Mail.
Oh, that's not good.
Oh.
Oh, how to be a racist.
And be comfortable with yourself.
Oh wow, this will go really well with my other books on meditation. One thing I have learned, because I do study meditation already, kind of, is that no one person has the monopoly on how to actually do it or what is the correct way to do it.
Right.
Which is fascinating, really, because everyone has their own approach to it and designs.
For some, it's Project Highrise.
For some, it's Project Highrise. For others, it's watching Scrubs. Actually, shall we open up the envelope?
Yes,
Go
let's
on,
do.
have a look.
All right, it's from Chris.
Oh, shit.
A gift note from Mr. KJ Darby. Enjoy your gift from Father Christmas. From Father. Why is there a colon there? doesn't need to be there, but yeah, that will go nicely along with my other book. Where's my other meditation book? Oh, there's Marcus Aurelius Meditations. That's a different kind.
That's not the.
That is a very different set. Like,
I just picture you getting comfy on a cushion. So what you're trying to say, Sam, is this isn't going to teach you a new skill that you've got.
Well, I'm skirting around the issue, Chris. But yeah.
So I have studied your bookcase quite a lot.
And you missed the 3 books that all also mention meditation and how to learn it.
I saw the Marcus Aurelius one on meditations.
And thought he's not doing it right.
No, but apparently this is actually a very, very good book. Very
cool.
Genuinely good book.
Well, the Daily Mail says so.
Yeah. Who'd have thought that I would have chimed with their feelings?
I can't wait, Chris. Thanks so much. Right, Dan's next.
Yay.
And last. So, Dan, remind us what you asked. Bloody hell.
He's got the scissors out.
He's going straight in there with some scissors. What did you ask for, Dan?
I asked for an autobiography.
Oh, Christ, don't open it that way. Jesus Christ, away from your body, Dan. Yeah, that's better.
That's the way I was doing it.
Yeah, but you had your hand.
Be careful.
Bloody hell.
Oh,
Jesus.
That was so aggressive he moved his webcam round.
Oh, Christ.
Don't remember those either, Dan.
So much sellotape.
These are the rounded edge ones.
I've got Persepolis.
Good. That is a good shout.
Persepolis is very good.
That is a very, very good shout.
Yeah, I'm aware of the film. I've not seen the film, which is good. Ooh, interesting.
Do you know, I'm genuinely jealous that you haven't read it. Like, I'm genuinely jealous.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Yeah.
For anyone listening who hasn't read it, it's actually like a graphic novel comic.
Yeah,
it is.
That's what I'm saying. I wasn't aware of that's what it would be. Wow.
If you need to know how to understand that, Dan.
Yeah. So Marjan Satrapi is the.
Yeah, I didn't want to pronounce it because I thought I'm just going to butcher it. So I thought I'll just not. Oh, awesome!
Probably for the best.
I'm going to say this may be a bold statement. I think this is potentially the most successful Secret Santa we've ever done.
I think we've done very well.
You might be able to tell that Chris is by my side.
There he is.
For this recording. It's once a year. You might as well get together. So we thought we'd do something special, and so we went to the cinema, didn't we, Chris?
We did again.
And again, I know. And I arrived because the grift no longer exists. Because Cineworld stopped it.
Yeah,
Cineworld
got a picture of you behind the counter.
Now, my question is now I do some of the like PR marketing stuff for this podcast, right? So every once in a while, what I'll do is I'll send an email to the people that we're talking about their thing. My worry is that when I emailed Cineworld about the grift,
you'd let them know. Well, I have actually made a formal written complaint.
You're kidding me. How much time have you got?
I haven't heard back from them, but I legitimately wrote a formal letter of complaint
You clearly haven't got enough meditation books.
that I wasn't allowed to take part in the kids.
Oh my gosh! Have you got a copy of that somewhere? I'd love to have a look at that.
I'll see if I can find it.
Oh my god!
Yeah, I did write a formal letter. So in preparation for knowing that I couldn't grift, I turned up to the cinema, and I think Chris took one look at me and thought, "Oh,
you look like a drowned rat, completely forlorn."
And also a well-encumbered drowned rat.
Yeah.
Because underneath my jacket, I had a massive bottle of water and a big bag of toffee popcorn.
And bearing in mind, we've been for suit fittings recently for his wedding, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, he's changed his size quite a bit since we last measured up.
Yeah, we're gonna have to change those. But we went to go. It was a toss-up, wasn't it, between Aquaman, the latest DC joint, or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and I think we were very, very happy to go and see Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse because it's maybe, and I'd need to see it again in some other films, but I think it may be my favourite superhero movie of all time. And also maybe my favourite animation film that I've ever seen. So it's a Sony Animation Pictures joint, and probably the biggest touchstone for this would be Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Definitely, yeah.
It's a very good touchstone.
That as well is a massively underrated film, both in terms of animation and genuinely how funny sincere it is. But I heard it referenced this way on another podcast, the Empire podcast, and they described Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse as the biggest leap in animation since Toy Story. And I think what they mean by that is a film that will define a new era for what animation is and what animation can achieve on the screen. And the film has 3 directors, and when you see it, you realise why they needed so many people to steer the ship, because it's absolutely just squeezed with so much love and attention, and any other film I think would have fallen off the rails and been just too much for the eyes or too much for the senses, or probably not been brave enough to fully push the envelope as much as Spider-Man does.
Right.
But it manages to capture so much of who Spider-Man is as a character, and in this film it's Miles Morales who's Spider-Man, due to a number of reasons that I won't go into spoil. Did you guys ever see that really weird Aardman animation called Angry Kid?
Yes, I think yes.
He's a kid with the ginger hair.
Yeah.
And this is I only mention it because it's the only touchstone I've got in terms of an animated character acting and feeling like they've got real physicality within the world, like they feel like they're part of it and they affect it, and they've got weight and they move in a way that makes them feel like they're part of it rather than just scratches on a piece of paper.
Have you seen Fantastic Mr. Fox, the Wes Anderson film?
Oh yeah, it is like that, Dan. That was the example I thought of.
I've not seen Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse. The animation, some of the stylistic elements to it reminded me almost of stop motion animation, which kind of then took me to also comparing it with Fantastic Mr. Fox, which is kind of stop motion, is kind of CGI kind of thing. So if that's the kind of the area that some of it looks like, it's interesting.
Yeah, there's a kind of irreverent charm to it that comes through Fantastic Mr. Fox and Isle of Dogs, that Wes Anderson quality to it. Basically, narrative-wise, as Sam says, not going to spoil it, but essentially it's in the title really, it's about how Miles Morales, as Spider-Man, as a Spider-Man, suddenly encounters other iterations of Spider-Man from different dimensions. And it's about how he, through learning to take on this role, learns from these different variants of himself and these parallel universes and how they have to work together. And they trust you. They trust you as an audience that you know the origin of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
They deliberately don't say Uncle Ben's famous quote because everyone knows it.
I think a lot of what you're saying, and it's quite telling that it's made by some of the same people, a lot of what you're saying reminds me of my feelings towards the Lego movie when that came out, because I really love that. And that's a lot of similar stuff in terms of dealing with other dimensions and kind of alternate universes, whilst not really sitting down and actually explaining it. You just kind of go, there's a Wild West universe, it's there, get over it kind of thing. But the question I want to ask is, I don't really read comics. I don't really read graphic novels. Now, I saw the trailer for Spider-Man Into Spider-Verse. I could obviously see it was influenced a lot by the comics. I thought it looked fantastic, which was telling the fact that it wasn't necessarily... didn't feel like it was made for me because I didn't know all that backstory. However, it just looked amazing. My question is, for someone who doesn't know that wider universe, considering that it's not going to go into detail about what it is there anything that I need to know going in that's going to help me enjoy it even more?
No.
I mean, also, Dan, it references a lot of the Spider-Man films, not just the comics. It's all of Spider-Man. So even if you've watched any of the Sam Raimi films or even Homecoming, it's referenced there.
There's a bit where he goes, we all remember when I did this. and like he starts doing the Tobey Maguire dance on the steps, and he's just like, yeah, but we don't talk about that. And he's just like, I've also had like a cereal made, which is absolutely true. I've also had like an average popsicle made of me, and it cuts to like that image, that famous image of the Spider-Man popsicle where it's all like bent out of shape.
Yeah,
it sounds like the
Basically,
humour that worked so well for Lego Movie is also working really well in this world as well.
But the difference is that unlike the Lego Movie, which I didn't enjoy, and the Batman movie, is that it doesn't fire 10,000 jokes at you per minute. It's paced.
Okay.
It is paced absolutely perfectly. And in terms of like not knowing about comic books and not reading them, I think that, and this might be a bit hyperbolic for me to say, but I think, Dan, that you would watch this film, and I don't think you would leave the cinema and go, oh, I must start collecting comics now. I think you would watch this film and you'd come away with a little bit of understanding of why I love comics so much and why Kris loves comics so much. You wouldn't go away absolutely like wanting to start collecting comics, but the film has that feeling of why comics are so great and what it is that makes them such a pleasure to read.
Now listen.
Yeah, I'm listening.
My ears are open and they are ready to receive what you're about to say.
I don't feel focused, Sam. Can you help me?
Okay. Here are some common mantras from Eric Harrison.
Go on.
There's the traditional om.
Yep.
There's ah.
Well, our mantra is, can we keep getting people to ask us questions on this podcast? And the answer is yes, we can.
Zing!
We can! Woohoo!
Hooray! Switch. Oh, Sam.
Yay!
Right.
I was having a drink. It's Christmas.
Go on. That's the excuse for a lot of things, though, isn't it? Around this period of time of year.
It's Christmas.
It's Christmas. I'm having a drink. Our pal, listener of the show, friend of the show, Richard Simpson, sent us a question.
Hello.
And he sent it on one of the following ways. Via Twitter at Staying In Pod, via Facebook at Staying In Pod, or stayinginpod@gmail.com via
That's my favourite
email.
I see, my favourite's Twitter.
And
what's your favourite, Kris?
I prefer just contacting Pete directly.
Just directly.
On his mobile phone.
Okay. And you can do that.
You can do that with
7.
This number.
7.
Richard Simpson, what of them We're Not Wizards lot says, I'm interested to know if you keep the Christmas tradition that you had as kids. So did you, I mean, first of all, he's assuming that we had Christmas traditions, and I'm assuming we all did, didn't we?
Yes.
I
did.
And do we still keep them? So my Christmas tradition, I remember, is we would have, obviously, Christmas dinner and all that sort of stuff. The main thing I take away from it is we would have prawn cocktail every single year. A prawn cocktail with oodles of sauce, a tiny little bit of iceberg lettuce, and very poor quality prawns. The small little ones that are very salty. We'd have them every single year. I don't do that, but I do always have bread sauce, and I do try and...
I still haven't eaten that sachet you sent me in the post.
I do try and spread the good word about bread sauce. That is a tradition that I do try and keep.
When I thought of traditions, right? Let's compare the two traditions.
Yeah.
I'm not saying mine is typical.
What Pete's described is so far, it's basically you see it on a Christmas card, wouldn't you, Sam?
Yeah, it's just like prawn cocktails on Christmas Day. Mine was
more than a robin.
Me and my brother, before we went to bed, we would hang 2 pillowcases on the banister, empty.
Yeah, of course.
And then we would go to sleep, and in the night, Santa, sometimes very noisily, would fill those pillowcases with presents for me and my brother. Then what would always happen is that I would wake up. Whoever woke up first, me and my brother, would then take our presents into the other person's room, and then we kind of like feel them and touch them and like whisper under our breaths like, "Oh, what have you got? What have you got? Like, oh, what have you got this year? I don't know." Oh, yeah. And then at some point we'd judge it between the two of us what point it was respectable to then go into our parents' room.
This is public information, Sam. What is a respectable time? Do you think?
Yeah, I'd really like to know this.
Because there are many kids. After I did all that Fortnite chat last time, there are lots of kids now listening to this. So what time?
I think between 5:30 and 6.
Yeah, good
Go
work.
on now.
Right, well, you've just ruined a load of parents.
Just after the milkman's gone.
Yeah. 5:30 and 6.
Yeah.
No!
It's very exciting.
Childhood traditions. Probably Bucks Fizz for breakfast.
Childhood?
Well, I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? You're
Well,
so drunk
I
after the
can't
one Bucks
remember.
Fizz. The rest of it's a haze.
Didn't care what we had.
Do you think they just gave it to you because you'd woken them up at 6 o'clock in the morning? Just feed them the champers.
I'm trying to think. So Richard's asking also, like, which ones we keep to this day. I tell you, there's one tradition I do, which is a funny one, really. When I was a child, I used to get for Christmas, I think for 4 Christmases in a row, I got... Did you ever have these books when you were a child, which were where basically your parents would write off or grandparents would write off to a company, and they'd fill in certain details, and what they would get back is a book where you are essentially the star of that book, and it's basically they've filled in the gaps, and they've just pasted in some of your childhood friends as well, and it's basically a narrative, and you get that as a little gift. So there's one.
You get those for dogs now.
For dogs, but they can't read, Sam. I've got. There's one where I helped Manchester United win the Premier League, and the whole premise of the narrative is brilliant. Basically, they pick me out of the crowd. It's not like I'm in the starting 11. They pick me out of the crowd to do like a free kick or something, and I scored the goal. Because obviously nobody wants to slide tackle a 6-year-old.
So this was a tradition. So there's more than one of these.
Yeah, no, there was one where I helped Batman defeat Catwoman. I know. But, she was stealing this remote control cat, and I caught it when she threw it. Batman.
God.
It's got awful jokes in it. It's where I get it from. And my favourite one is where I help the PG Tips monkey find the golden tea leaf.
And you were once in a PG Tips advert.
I know, full circle, right? So every night still, when I go and stay with my parents...
Every night?
Well, not every night, but every night, though, that time of year when I get around Christmas, when I go around to my parents to stay over for Christmas, like, I'll just take these off the shelf, and just for pure nostalgia, I'll just give them a flick through them and just read them, because I've done that every year since I was probably about 6, I would say. And there's something quite interesting about just holding that book. It's suddenly this idea that, you know, time can feel both very quick, time can pass very quick, but also can ebb and flow very slowly, and it's one of those interesting moments where that paradox becomes all the more apparent, really. What about you, Daniel?
There's not really that many that I would keep. I'm looking back to kind of when I was young, we did the whole like pillowcase as we're on the end of our beds that were filled with presents, and that kind of grew over the years, and it turned into like a big sack that would be left outside your door until the year that kind of
was it
like a
was it kind
refuse
of a thing? Was it kind of a thing where like your parents gave you a small pillowcase and you were like, "F this"? Started like took all your bedding out your duvet.
Yeah.
With the banister.
Yeah.
They're like, "Oh no, he's asking for more and more each year."
I didn't realise my family was Scottish.
I don't know where that went from.
I've changed it so Richard feels more at home.
Oh, I see.
Nice one.
I see.
You saved that. Sam.
Well, they did that until it got to the point that neither me or my sister kind of believed in Father Christmas anymore. So it got to the point that my mum kind of gave up a little bit and tried to hide the secret. So we'd have gone to bed probably about about 10 o'clock, and about half an hour later, we'd hear my mum coming down the hallway, dumping bags outside her room and saying, "Don't come out till the morning."
Brilliant.
So Dan, you are a father, so you're going to be creating Christmas
Exactly,
traditions.
yeah.
Totally.
I mean, over the years, I don't do kind of old traditions, but we kind of create new ones. Now, what's actually interesting is that when I was growing up, when we put like the Christmas tree up, it'd be like me and my mum and dad and my sister, and we'd put the tree up. And my dad would put the tree up, and his job was to put the tree up and then put all the lights on it, and then me, my sister, and my mum, we would then put all the baubles and the tinsel and do all the decorating. And kind of just organically over the years, since I kind of moved out, and I've lived with my wife now for 10 years or so, organically, and especially now kind of with my little boy, I've taken on the role of, okay, I'll put the tree up, and I'll do the lights, and then that's my job done. I'll step aside, and you can go away, you can decorate it however you want to, my job's done. I've done the lights. That's my job. It's like the most manliest part of decorating a tree is the lights. It's the electrics, the power.
If you had the chance now to create a tradition, what tradition would you like to create? Like personally, for me, I find it very difficult to get in the mood of Christmas. Like I find it very difficult to get like part of that hype. I think that's probably because I spent so long working in commercial radio where, you know, they start playing the Christmas songs at the end of November and then you're just listening to them over and over and over again. So I've lost a little bit of that magic. Like the one tradition I have at the moment, which is I read Christmas Carol every year.
That's
nice.
A great book.
That's
nice.
So that's like the nice thing that I like to do every year, and I feel like that's the one thing that truly gets me into the mood and like the spirit and the feeling of Christmas. And we're starting a new tradition this year, mainly because, and I hope it continues as a tradition because I really like the idea of it, and it's mainly brought on because we're saving for the wedding next year, which will be this year. Oh my god!
Oh, 3 months, Sam.
I know. Is that we're not actually buying presents for each other. Instead, we're putting the money towards buying experiences. So instead of, like, for me and Lisa and her family, we're not spending money on getting presents for each other. Instead, we're putting money towards going away for the weekend. And I'm like doing the same with my dad and my brother and his girlfriend. Like, so instead of putting that money into presents for stuff that we may or may not need, instead it'll be, well, why don't you come up to Manchester, or we'll come to you for a weekend and we'll use that money to go out and do something special. And for me, as a nice little tradition, like I hope we keep that on beyond the economics of needing to do it this year, if that makes sense.
You'll remember it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. Creating memories rather than recycling.
Your fourth meditation book.
Yes, straight from my meditation book. I think Marcus Aurelius talked about that.
He does, doesn't he, Sam? Yeah.
Marcus Aurelius,
very famously.
Yeah, Marcus Aurelius's fourth rule of government is make sure you do a quad biking holiday.
That was Staying In with myself, Sam Turner, Peter Willington, Chris Darby and Daniel Frost. If something in this episode made you laugh, smile or have a little think, then please consider subscribing so you get the next edition as soon as it's released. This show is all about sharing those things we enjoy with those closest to us. So if you have a friend, relative, mate, pal or chum who you think would love the Staying In podcast, then why not tell them about it? You could leave us a review, but we would much rather that you sit down a good acquaintance, look them in the eye, tell them they're lovely and they should be listening to the Staying In podcast. Talking of sharing, if you need some more details on anything we've talked about on this episode, then go to stayingin.podbean.com or contact any of us on Twitter via @stayinginpod. If you want to ask us a question, then a great place to start is with the email stayinginpod@gmail.com. But if you're more comfortable using Facebook or Twitter, then we are on there too. We also have curation pages on Steam and Board Game Geek, so if you're ever stuck for something to do, then search for us on there and we can guide you to the awesome stuff we all love. Until next time, thank you for listening to the show, have a great new year, and goodbye.